if you want to jump higher, you're in the right spot. And today we're going to be talking about what on earth is a freak athlete, because we have a different definition from most people's definition. Because usually somebody will be like, look at this NBA player, he jumps high. And we're like, no, he doesn't. So we're going to talk about what we consider a freak athlete. But before we do, if you want to get coached by the three of us to jump higher, go to THPstrength.com. 50.5-inch vertical, somewhere in the 40s, somewhere in the 40s.
Mine's like 40. I'm going to say mine's like 46 again.
Yeah.
After last session, yeah.
Yeah. And we have coached a lot of people over the last few years to jump higher and get rid of knee pain. So if you want to do that, go check it out.
Oh, and if you want 10% off your first month, if you're tired of being just a freak at home and you want to be a freak on the court, sign up with code THP at checkout for 10% off your first month.
And if you're still really hesitant, we have two guarantees. One of them is if you want to jump higher, we guarantee that you'll increase your vertical by at least 3 inches in the next 6 months, or we'll coach you for free until you do. Second guarantee, if you have knee pain, we're going to test your knee pain every single morning. We guarantee those knee pain scores are going to go down in the first week, or we'll give you your money back, specifically if you have tendinopathy, if your knee hurts here or here.
Righto, lads. Only thing, make sure we hold the mics slightly farther away or it's going to sound like dog shit. Righto?
Yes, master.
Righto.
All right. So what is a freak athlete? Why I picked this, we were actually meeting with an NBA player, and we had a conversation with him and basically said, look, you're in the NBA, you're 6'7". There are guys in the NBA that I would not even consider that athletic. And I cited two experiences that I had, one being with Amen and Asar Thompson dunking from the free throw line and how I didn't really think it was that impressive. Reason being is that there are guys at 6'1" who can dunk from the free throw line off, like, what? Why is that impressive?
I do consider them freak athletes.
I don't.
I didn't see them, so
I don't consider them freak athletes. I think like if they could they at their height.
I think height is a factor to consider because it's harder to be a athletic when you're taller.
Specimen?
Yeah. Like think about how many 6'7" guys
really
have.
Usain Bolt is faster.
Look.
Because he's taller.
He's 6'5" though.
6'5.5".
So if you took a percentage of every 6'7" person, and then you took all 6'1" people, there would be a higher percentage of 6'1" people with 40+ inch verticals than 6'7" people with 40+ inch verticals.
Okay, but that's one metric. Like
Yeah.
I'm looking at them holistically and saying you're not
Yeah.
like quantitatively assessed. I'm
talking
about,
strictly jumping.
I'm talking like freak athlete. Like what do I define as a freak athlete?
Oh, I guess first you have to
Quantitatively
define
assessed.
what is.
Well, I mean, I don't think
athlete.
jumping
So you're
is the only
talking
metric.
all.
I'm saying
all.
like other than the skill of your sport, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying if I looked at someone came to me and I watched them move, I watched them dunk, I watched them sprint, right?
Yeah.
I would be like, holy shit, that's one of the most disgusting
That's
athletes
still
I've ever
because you
seen.
specifically said them jumping from the free throw line isn't impressive.
I
think that's
they're
very
6'7",
impressive.
dude, with a 9-foot reach.
And the way he did it is the way they do it. It was
They're
easy.
speed jumpers. That should be easy.
Mom, Dad, stop.
Speed jumping is you being a freak athlete though as well.
That is tendon properties, but I don't look at them and go, you're the most athletic guy in the NBA. I don't. Not even close. You think they're the most athletic guy in the NBA?
I don't think that, but I do
Yeah.
think they're freak athletes.
I think they are outliers, but I don't. To me, they could be so much better. That's
Yeah.
how I view it. Like they're good, they're great
Yeah.
even, but they're not freaks. I'm talking like freak fucking athletes. Like LeBron in his prime, to me, is freak athlete.
Yeah.
Like that was, you are a freak. I look at Ja, his speed, his change of direction, the positions he hits. Amen and Asar don't hit those positions. They don't. They don't hit the same joint angles. They don't do the same cuts that he will. Anthony
Yeah.
Edwards, when he's in his absolute freakiest states on the court, like that's what I define as freak fucking athletes. And that's guys that are just genetically freak athletes, right? I also think there's a tier of guys who actually train for it, like Henry Ruggs. Did you ever see Henry Ruggs?
No.
Henry Ruggs actually went to prison because of a DUI, but he was at Alabama. Every single Alabama football player is output-wise one of the most like disgustingly ridiculous output monsters you will ever see. They all can power clean 300 plus. They're all 6 foot to or whatever, like 6 foot to 6'4". Or some of the guys are 6'5", fucking half squatting well into the 5s and 600s. Like Saquon Barkley hang power cleans or full. What is he full power? Or no, power clean.
Full power clean in the 400s.
From the floor is easily in the 4s. Like when I see that, I'm like, holy shit.
But I do think though the language has to change because to me impressive is like if I'm watching, I'm like whoa, That's impressive. You can't call a free throw line dunk not impressive. It's not free. They're not in the top 0.1%, but it's still impressive.
That's how I view it. It's impressive. I didn't say it wasn't impressive.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's freak athletic.
It's not fair, I think, if you're watching a dunker and then you say, whoa, but then you look at a freakier thing and you don't say, well, like, I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we're having this discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? We'll both do it. We'll both go our definitions, okay? So when I view a freak athlete, it's someone who is an output monster, an absolute output monster from head to toe. I'm not necessarily looking at the skill. I'm not looking at, their jump technique. I'm not looking at even their sprint technique. I am just looking at their output and saying, holy shit, you are a freak. You can jump 40 inches when you just walk, or 45 inches when you just walk up to it, no skill involved, one step, and fucking touch whatever. You can run a 100-meter dash in 10-2. You can catch a football with your dinner plate hands over another 220-pound receiver. And like DK Metcalf, freak athlete, absolute freak athlete. Your bench press is well into the 300s. Your change of direction qualities are unbelievable. You see like Julio Jones in his prime. Like Julio Jones in his prime, if you look at his changes of direction, he could break faster and more aggressively than anyone else on the field.
Yeah.
Like incredibly hard braking forces and get in and out of those cuts. So his deceleration capabilities are unbelievable, meaning his eccentric RFD is unbelievable. His acceleration capabilities are unbelievable, which means his low-end power is unbelievable. And when he's upright running, he can actually pull and continue to cover distance on guys, right? But then it's like, doesn't even stop there. His jumping ability is of top tier performance. Like maybe his technique is not perfect, right? But like in terms of just a man being an absolute freak beast athlete, when I look at football players, they're like generally the pinnacle. Now, when I look at basketball players, like they're anthropometrically kind of freaky, right? But generally their outputs suck. Like there are 6'6" guys and 6'7" guys who have good outputs. We see it, right? Like the guy that touched the top of the backboard, what's his name is impossible to pronounce.
K.O. Dorici?
Yeah, K.O. Dorici, right? You look at K.O. K.O. can touch the top of the backboard. He can touch 13 feet. He's how tall? 6'10" or something like that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that's crazy to me. When I look at Jokic, I don't go, wow, what a freak athlete. I go, wow, what an incredibly skilled basketball player who uses his size to his advantage. And I'm sure people are going to give me a ton of flack for this, but like his outputs, when I look at sheer outputs, if I looked at the rate, the force plate data on that 1 foot jump, it would not even be close to what I'm seeing guys that jump even 22 feet in long jump were hitting for them. Because they're just tall and long. And 22 feet is not even that good, right? Like, Hiram Feshner he's a freakier athlete to me than Asar Eneman. Why? Because he's an output freak. He can literally jump 24 feet in long jump, which is like close to 8 meters off both legs, right? Off 2 feet, he has close to a 50-inch vertical, and in the weight room, without any skill work, he can power clean in the 200s, 250, 260. Like, that's fucking disgusting. And that's with shit technique, right? You clean that stuff up, and it's like, oh, maybe he goes 52, 53. I'm talking truly, truly world-class performers that in a quantitatively assessed sport, they would kick ass and be on an extremely high level, right? I don't think in a quantitatively assessed sport that most basketball players would be one of one in anything. I don't even think they would be one of one, even in the decathlon where you get 10 events to be good.
Yeah.
I don't.
No,
think
I agree with that. You know what's an interesting? I wonder how basketball would change if it became like the NFL and it was once a week competing, and then you gave them more time. I feel like you would see freakier athletes.
Because your lens is like they obviously can't do that because they play 80 games.
Yep.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
In football, the sport...
Like Zion, by the way, Zion's another example, I would say. Freak guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think football, it selects for that because you have to be so freaking strong. The nature of the sport is running, right? You have to run faster than the other person to get to the end zone. You have to be able to cut and stuff. Then the nature of the sport, you need to be an output monster to succeed in it. And you compete once a week. So you're able to
like recover.
Like the amount of training I've seen football players do, and like it's different from basketball. Basketball, you don't, probably because of the anthropometry, but you don't see guys deadlifting heavy or cleaning heavy as shit or putting hella like back squatting in the 500, 600s.
I think too though that like you don't even necessarily have to do that. I don't even see them in things where they could do it. hard, right? Like, so the clean example is a good one. What do? You pull off blocks. Like, always pull off blocks because they're too tall, right? Okay, well, what about squatting? Okay, maybe they don't have the mobility. Okay, I can still put them on a leg extension machine. I can have them do a hack squat. I can have them do hand-supported movements.
And they just don't train hard. Like
they just
the intensities.
don't. No, they don't. They just don't train hard.
Like,
they don't.
I see multiple videos every year of like a crazy weight room number by an NFL player or a college, like a D1 college player. I never see that. I've seen maybe
RSI.
3 videos where from an NBA player where I've been like, whoa, that's a freaky weight room output activity.
What example would you?
I don't
I
remember.
can't even think of it because it's so rare. I think that the other thing too is even if you're like, well, weight room isn't the only thing that's an estimate of that. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Let's talk about plyos. They all fucking suck at those too. Yeah. Whereas I've seen fucking NFL players bound down the field, and don't get me wrong, they're not, as far as plyos are concerned, they're not great. But their change of direction metrics are unbelievable. Their vertical jump metrics are unbelievable. Like, some guys, when learning how to do those plyos, they're incredible performers, right, at that skill. But basketball players, you watch them run. If you watch them run, like when we were at OT and I saw them test their 30-meter time, it was the most fucking ugly thing I've ever seen in my entire life across the board. Every single guy in there could not fucking sprint, which is embarrassing. That's a fundamental skill you need to do in every other sport, but in basketball it just doesn't matter. Yeah, I guess kind of.
That's
right.
why who was I talking to earlier? Cole. I was talking to Cole yesterday. I think it was Cole. But it was basically about basketball, and I was just like, it was my little brother. My little brother was here yesterday, and he's like obsessed with training. And he was asking me all these questions, and then I asked him, I was like, who do you think is gonna win one-on-one, me or Cole? And then he was like, oh, you're gonna. First he was like, who jumps higher? And then Cole was like, he does. And he's like, oh, he's gonna win one-on-one, blah blah blah. And then it went down. We went down this rabbit hole of like, in basketball, like it does not matter.
No, absolutely not.
Like, if we're talking,
is the most important thing.
You might get looks.
And size.
You might get looks. You might get your coach playing you because everybody subconsciously thinks that the guy who jumps higher is better. You might be more popular in terms of like social media and all that stuff, and it is fun, but it's not going to move the needle more in terms of your ability as a basketball player if you focus on jumping higher in output.
Like, to me, when I look at change of direction skills in basketball, the ground reaction forces outside of very, very few scenarios are relatively low. There's not. It's very much.
Luka.
Yeah, look at Luka.
He plays like,
he's one of the
it looks like he's going
NBA,
slow motion. Like he's like taking his time.
Yeah, and it's just spacing, timing, using your offhand, like shit like that. It's so much skill. There's so much of a skill premium on it. Can you make an open shot in a high pressure situation? If you can do that, you're probably infinitely valuable to the NBA, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's skill alone.
And you're probably, because I think right now every single player in the NBA can dunk, but that's a result of, first off, you being able to dunk doesn't mean you're athletic.
Because you could be 7 foot.
Yeah, and even then, in terms of like what I said at the beginning of the podcast, people will be like, oh, look at this NBA player, he jumps high. What we consider jumping high is different. Like, if you spend your time like you're
like
above
40's average.
Yeah, like if the average player is 6'7", a point guard, take a point guard. The average height is probably like 6'2" as a point guard in the NBA, 6'2", 6'3". If you spend your time growing up playing basketball and just trying to dunk and you're 6'2", you're probably going to be able to dunk.
Yeah.
With very minimal weight room work. But to be an outlier in terms of jump performance is a completely different story.
Yep. I 100% agree with that.
So, yeah,
like, you look at Ja.
That's a pet peeve of mine.
When I look at Russ, right, and I look at Ja, it's the guys, and I've always said this when I was at Altus and I was with these world-class athletes. What separated them was their ability to produce massive forces over big ranges of motion. What does that mean? That means that they're not short and choppy. They're in very not unrealistic positions, but very compromised positions in terms of leverage, and they still produce a ton of force while being in that position. When you see their block start, their hips are crazy high. They're in relatively a lot of flexion, right? They push out of that, and while leaning in a ridiculous angle, they are able to contact under their center of mass and accelerate and push through the ground and accelerate themselves forward. When I see a long jumper, right, they're able to get their foot way out in front of them while moving 12 meters per second and somehow still manage to get a complete and full takeoff off the board and then land in the pit 27 feet, across. Like, their ability to produce force in massive, massive quantities and continue to produce force, whether it's a sprint or it's a long jump, each step down the runway is unbelievable. And to me, NBA players don't have that. They lack that. They don't have to do it. All they have to do is, how many times do you see something without a ball in someone's hand? I'm saying take the ball out of the equation, and you watch them move without the ball, and you would be like, wow, that required a lot of power. That
Almost
required
never.
a lot of eccentric capabilities. Like, almost never are they at the peak of what they can handle in terms of that stuff.
And when you do get guys that are output monsters,
They usually can't dribble.
They become outliers. Like, if you take someone that's an output monster and combine like high skill, then that's when you get your LeBron.
Yeah.
Your Zion.
Yep.
Like
you get LeBron, you get Zion, you get Anthony Edwards when he's trying hard. The thing is with Anthony Edwards, he doesn't even try hard most of the time. Like, he doesn't. And then, or you get Ja. Like, Ja's a perfect example. Ja is an output monster. He produces massive forces at insane velocities or Zach LaVine in his prime.
And the thing about that is it's not sustainable though either.
No, it's not. They get hurt. All of those guys I just
play
listed
way
have
too
gotten
often.
hurt.
The games are
LeBron's
too
the
long
only
to
one
play.
that didn't. And I have no idea. He did have a lot of injuries. He just probably wasn't dunking on everyone every play when he had a lot of injuries. So back to my comment, do I think Asar and Amen are freak athletes? Relative to what they're capable of, no. Like, they have the potential to be one of one. I just don't think they've even scratched the surface in terms of training age.
I do agree with that. I think part of
that guy.
Because part of the reason I was giving you pushback on it is because, like, that's something that I take into account is, like, the potential. Like, when I see them move, I'm like,
wow,
this guy could, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's impressive. Like,
but
it's
if you looked at their vertical compared to someone like, even like Nick Briz, dude, who actually did dedicated jump sessions, dunk sessions, and plyos. Like, we watched that video of Briz jump the other day. How fucking disgusting was that?
Which one?
the Balls Live session.
Video.
It was like first 10 seconds. He
He
jumped outside the paint near the free throw.
Yeah, and Amen and Asar probably have better genetics than Nick, but aren't even close in terms of total output compared to him, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not even talking about potential. I'm talking about actualized, real time. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
That was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Like, I haven't seen something from them where I was like, wow, a dunk, a cut. Like, they've dunked on people, but like, it wasn't the way that Anthony Edwards did on a 7-footer. It wasn't the way that Vince Carter did over a 7-footer. Like, that to me is where I'm like, wow, that is disgusting. Like, literally disgusting. So yeah, I would say in the NBA, every single one of those guys has the potential to be a freak athlete. You're in the freaking NBA, right? You're probably an outlier. You have enough skill and ability to be at that level and competitive, right? So you have a lot of coordination. You have change of direction abilities. You have very high, I would call it like athletic IQ, coordination. But in terms of tendon and muscle properties and neurological properties, like Amen and Asar have crazy tendon properties, decent muscle capacity, but their nervous system is not even close to maxed out. Not even close, right? So same thing's true with a lot of these other guys. Like Zion is someone who did max out his output, in my opinion, right? At his size, the dunks he did, the way he did them, Mac McClung's another one, maxed out his output for his ability, right? You're telling me all those guys in the NBA aren't more capable than Mac McClung? Almost all of them? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's gifted, but there are a ton of guys at that level that just, there's such a high premium on skill that it's not important to them to produce high outputs. Mm-hmm.
It's not worth the time. Like, the time spent, and we were kind of getting into this with the NBA player we met with, like, the time spent to become more athletic, you can make a very strong argument if you spend that time on skill work.
Yeah.
Like,
or blend it creatively.
Yeah.
That's the key, is blending it creatively.
It's almost like to be an elite basketball player, you need to be able to hit the minimum threshold of athleticism to keep up with, to be able to play defense, to grab a rebound, to box out, strength levels and all that stuff. But once you meet that kind of minimum threshold, you have to be really skilled.
Do you want to add anything?
You guys are in minimum.
I do have stuff to add.
You're the mediator between us.
I didn't like.
We should do more podcasts where I take an insanely hot take.
I'm trying to think, like,
for me, definitely Nick Briz is like one of the most freaky athletes I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's a good question. Who are the freakiest athletes you guys have seen in your opinion?
All right, obviously Isaiah to a degree. Okay, anyway, I thought I would get some kind of
Are you
response.
thinking about it?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Dak,
thinking about it.
Dak, just because he can jump off every single
Holy
plant the
hell,
way he
yeah.
does.
I saw
he's-
him. He put a video of him sprinting 10.6 the other day, and I was like, "What the fuck,
dude. No, that's like just
You know, we have
watching
an athlete
him.
that just ran 10.73.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went from 10.90 to 10.73 in the matter of 6 weeks.
That's crazy.
Hey, if you want to get better at sprinting, you know where to sign
Cody
up.
Pierce. Cody Pierce. Shout out, Coach.
He's dope. Who else? Chris Bell, I would say is another one.
Chris is
freak.
I actually don't think. I'll say this.
2022.
I think
Bell.
Chris is the product of both. Like
Yeah.
Chris, I don't think genetically speaking is as good as someone like Dak or as good as someone like Briz. But I think that Anthony Height's another one genetically free. Basically, the people that are insanely talented at basically everything they do, and in my opinion, their volumes across the lifetime are relatively low, or maybe they were sparse, or maybe they had direction, maybe they didn't have direction at certain points, and they still are freaks. Like Briz, how many times, like Briz did plyos maybe in dedicated dunk sessions, but he's never,
He was doing upper body.
He's-
in the
yeah.
gym.
He was playing basketball and doing upper body.
he's probably never done a mesocycle in his life. Like
You know, somebody that impresses me a lot is Prime Gerald Green.
prime Gerald Green,
Green,
yeah.
James White for me too.
James White, yeah. So he's someone that is, okay, there's another example. You talked about like a Men Asar. Dude, James White in his prime,
Yeah, that's like a MNSR if they max out their
trained,
jumping
yeah,
capabilities.
and I don't even know if
If
James,
they had dunk sessions.
Yeah, I don't even know if
a
James
MNSR,
trained.
to be fair, I think
They get after it a little bit in the weight room.
I think they understand that it's about skill.
No,
Like, they're
do.
not
They know
gonna
that.
go and have
They
dunk
flat out
sessions.
have basically told me that. They're like, I'm not a dunker.
Awesome.
They have flat out told me, I'm not a dunker. I'm a basketball player, and they're right. They're 100% right.
They don't need to, like, with their build and everything. They can literally they can get the job done. They can dunk on people. They can do everything without having to do all the extra stuff. Like, why do the extra stuff if you're already there?
Well, and to their credit, it's not to say that they don't train. They do train. They did train at OT. They do lift. It's just that on the court, their focus is not getting into the most disgustingly freaky positions and bodying people. That's just not their focus. Like, they're defensive players. They're very skilled at that, right? But when it comes to the game, they're shooters and they drive a little bit and get crafty with the ball. They're not like, they protect their body. They're smart. Honestly, the reality is they're smart. They know how to play the game and how to play the game for multiple years at a high level without getting hurt, and to be extremely valuable to their team and to win games. Like, at the end of the day, that's what you're paying people to do in the NBA. You're not paying them to go and jump as hard and as high as you can from the free throw line every time you get the ball in your hand. Like, that's not what you're getting paid to do.
I wish I could get paid for that.
And I mean, that's also really high risk, like incredibly high risk. So
I'm gonna
I
try
stand by that.
today. I'm gonna try free throw today, off the cuff.
Really?
Yeah, you just inspired me.
Okay, perfect. Anyone else? Yeah, exactly. Austin can almost dunk from the free throw line at 5'9".
I'm different.
Exactly. Okay, so anyone else? So you guys can think of freakiest athlete. John Baldwin was one of the freakiest athletes in person I've ever seen. Like, unbelievably gifted.
T-Dub.
T-Dub.
You saw him in person? Like,
Oh, I haven't seen him in person.
Okay.
Sutherland is a good example, but then based on your,
He's trained. He has trained. Sutherland is pretty freaky.
O'Gannon's trained to.
But they're not like fast. I don't look at them and go like they can clean a lot. Like
Sutherland's fat,
Yeah.
his power output's not going to be as high for everything.
Sutherland's pretty fast.
Jay Clark.
Jay Clark is a freak. Yeah.
Clark.
Triple jumpers.
He's gonna literally be watching this and be like, "Of course they forgot me." Until last, like
Jay Clark.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. Look how
Oh
much it's raining.
shit! It's raining. All right,
All
see you
right.
boys. THPstrength.com.
Bro, you